once again to the Iron City Roundhouse Report, the podcast where the love for the high iron meets the precision of the scale model. Whether you're tracking the latest Class 1 freight movements or perfecting the scenery on your home layout, we're here to celebrate the history and hobby of railroading. Climb aboard and settle in as we clear the signals for another journey through the world of trains. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. Coming to you from our studio, we got me, Brad Williamson, and Pat Moore, and we are on episode 8 already of season 2, as hard as that is to believe. And we got some pretty exciting stuff coming up. Exciting because it's further evidence of the growth of Iron City. We have a couple guys from Iron City West who are going to be joining us tonight, and we're excited to hear about what they have to say about some things that they are getting involved with out there on the West Coast, and just a couple good guys that are a lot of fun to talk to. So we're looking forward to having fun with that. Before that, though, we have our Roundhouse Report segment, the report that Pat and I do. So, Pat, do you want to start us off with the Roundhouse Report, or was there anything else that you needed to address before we get into that?
Hey, everybody. Hey, Brad. No, we're good tonight. Like you said, we have our Coast to Coast episode this evening, episode 8. Really going to look, I think people are going to look forward to this. And Brad and I had a lot of questions, didn't we, Brad, about what goes on out west, the modeling, what people are looking for, what industries. So, if you're an East Coaster, which a lot of us are, or Midwest, you just maybe don't get out to the West Coast or rail fan, or you don't get out there that much to do some industrial watching. So this is a really good episode to understand all of that. So I'm looking forward to it, Brad.
Yeah, me too. It is different to see the rail fanning and modeling perspective for different areas of the country. I've been fortunate enough that I have been able to go not all the way out west, kind of in the Midwest in Nebraska. And I will say that rail fanning there is very different than what it is here. It's very rare that you don't see a freight running along the side of a mountain or even going up the mountain like you see in the Crescent, Altoona area. Out there, buddy, everything is it's just flat. Cornfields, and you could see trains coming from miles, through Nebraska. But these guys are from even further west than that. They're in Southern California. So it's going to be really neat to hear from them, and just something to look forward to for sure.
Okay, Brad, like you mentioned, it's time for the Roundhouse Report. I'll go ahead and go first this evening. Brad, our first one I want to talk about is our buddy Kevin. Been on the show many times, but sometimes we forget, and we have our hosts on and our yard masters on, but we really don't talk about the work that they do. So I wanted to give Kevin a shout out. He has this thing called the J&C Glassworks. It was his first showing at NMRA Keystone Division 2 Mid-Central Region Jamboree. And he brought it. It's like, I believe they're calling this a floating shelf layout. But some things, Brad, I think I wanted to talk about wasn't as much as the layout, but was the paint scheme, around the layout, and the artwork of the logo, in front, the JC Glassworks, kind of like a logo in front of the fascia on his layout. And it is really, really something. And that got me to think a little bit about when people are working on things, especially when we're doing these T-track. A lot of this isn't not just the layout itself or the buildings and everything. It's the logos. It's the paint scheme that you actually put on the wood around it. That kind of gives it, he's got this like battleship gray, and it just gives you immediately think of an industrial area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his work is really good. And the other thing too that we're all starting to do too is we're starting to take our industries that are at our T-track layouts and incorporating them somehow into our main layouts back at home. For example, Kevin has a scrap yard, and we incorporate that back into my main layout at home at my mill. And I've taken some pictures of my scrap gondolas at his location on the T-track, and then when I bring them back onto my main layout, it makes sense, right? I went and picked up that scrap there. There's an actual model of that. and then we're bringing it back onto the main. I know, Brad, you and I do that all the time with our two main layouts, and then we try to do it with our T track, saying it's a different division and everything. So I kind of like how this works. I can't wait to see him incorporate this into his main layout. But I think
Is
he
that
was
what
very
is
proud.
that what is is that what his plan is for that? Do you think?
I am not sure, or if it's just a
Yeah,
standalone.
yeah,
But I'm sure he can come on and maybe post on the Iron City page and tell
yeah.
us a little bit about what he wants to do there.
If I'm not mistaken, that all came from a group that I'm a member of, and I know Kevin is too, called Budget Model Railroading. I think the general idea was you can get one of these floating shelf things, and you get them very reasonably priced, and build a small switching layout on there like Kevin did. And I agree that it turned out really neat. I like how he has that. I don't know if I'm using the right term, like a pass-through track that looks like it's going in a big door to the one building, and then it comes out on the other side of the layout. And I believe too, I'm looking right now at the knobs on either side of that cool logo that he made that you were mentioning. And I think I remember him saying that he uses those to actuate the switches
Okay.
on there. He can throw the switches with them, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong because he enjoys doing that. But yeah, I think that's what they're for. But just a couple things, about, first of all, with Kevin making logos, he does have a talent for that. I don't know what software or what it is that he's using, but you're right about that JNC Glassworks logo. It does just really set the mood for, we're in a industrial area, and of course, rail served industrial area. So he is good at that. And in fact, Kevin designed the layout, not the layout, but the logo for Iron City N Scale and for the Iron City Roundhouse Report. If I think he did both of those. Is that
That's
not
right.
correct?
That is
Yeah.
correct. That did a great
Did-
job with both of those.
Yep, he did. The other thing too that I wanted to mention about him, it has been really cool to watch Kevin develop his modeling talents at what I think is a really fast rate. I can still remember, like it was yesterday, Kevin and I were sitting at our table at one of the Greenberg shows, and I helped him install his first DCC decoder. It was the first time he'd ever done it. So, and I thought when he came and started building stuff, I'm like, you must have been like doing some kind of modeling for a while now, because I still remember that tunnel module he made in the hills. Those first two modules, man, for if this is his first attempt at doing scenery, that's pretty good. But it's really been neat to watch him become a very accomplished modeler in many of the different aspects of the model railroading hobby in a really short time. I mean, we're talking, this was probably Greenberg, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 years ago. He had never installed a decoder before, and now he's doing all kind of cool stuff like this. So that has been fun to watch, and it's just been great to see as Kevin, has become a very valued member of our Iron City community. The leadership team for Iron City does a great job with organizing our layouts and coming up with a track plan for the layout. So yeah, hats off to you, Kevin. That floating shelf, I guess a floating shelf layout is what I almost said module, but I think they call them floating shelf layouts, but it is very cool, very nice work. And so, yeah, I agree with you on that, Pat. That was a good choice.
Okay, Brad, who do you have this evening?
My first one, I got to give a shout out to one of the Iron City East guys. Fortunately, I did a live video while we were there, just like a tower cam, but I was, busy running trains and busy meeting and talking to people. But Iron City East buddy Nick Wummer did a great job taking a video showing many of the different scenes on the T-track layout. And also, we were at the rally at our good friend Todd Treaster's place. Nick also took some nice video downstairs on Todd's layout, and he was kind enough to post that on the Iron City page, but he also sent it to me and allowed us to post that video on the YouTube channel. And it's gotten quite a few downloads already, if I'm not mistaken. So hats off to Nick Wummer, Iron City East, Nick Wummer. He was there participating with us in the rally at Burnham, and was kind enough to produce and share a video with us, and I think it turned out really well. So that was my first item for the Iron City Roundhouse report tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it, but I appreciate everyone sharing their videos and their pictures.
Yeah,
Made you
we
feel like
missed you too.
made you feel like you're just there, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And Brad, what were some takeaways from the rally that you had for this year, just off the top of your
I
head?
I thought, if anything, it was even better than last year. Todd said he did tell me that all of the meatballs were eaten, and I think he said they made over 250 of them.
Oh wow.
I don't know that I know he put a new he keeps that book for the sign-in book for people to sign. He put a brand new one out, and I believe he told me that it had at least 3 full pages filled up.
Oh wow.
So,
Yeah.
that those are just the people who took the time, to sign. I'm sure there were probably people who, I mean, the feeling when you go
Yeah,
down there, your eyes are not drawn to the sign-up book. It's like,
no.
holy moly, look at what's surrounding me. So
Yeah.
we had a good steady crowd for most of the day, and I think, like I said, it was at least as good as last year. Even lots of aspects of it were even better because we incorporated the rail fanning experience at the train station, the Amtrak station in Lewistown, which is not far from Todd's house. So many of us got there early on Friday. In fact, I was not the first one there this year. My buddy Neil Mones somehow managed to beat me to Todd's house. So we met there at Todd's place, and then I think we got there a little after 9, maybe.
Yeah.
And then we spent most of the rest of the day down there just hanging out at the station and watching train after train go through. So it was a great time. And once again, we just can't thank Todd and Becky enough for their hospitality and, the opportunity to set up the T-Track module there in conjunction with Todd's open house on the NYSNA Pittsburgh division. And just, it was an all around great weekend. And I just don't see how it could have gone any better, except you weren't there. That was the only thing. So that's the only thing we got to work on improving for next year. Is we got to get the Colonel there. But yeah, it was a great time.
And Brad, I wanted to mention something because some of our members said they missed the posting or they missed the advertisement, and I understand that. You and I have talked about this several times that Facebook has a system, and if you don't click onto something, you might not see our page for maybe several days when you're scrolling through Facebook. So my recommendation is we have tabs on top of our Iron City page, and it says post, features, reels, about, photos, events, files, and albums. So there's 2 ways to find out what's going on on the Iron City. One is to go to events. Anytime we have a showcase, we have a clinic, or we have something we're going to, like Altoona or Science Center downtown in Pittsburgh, or the rally, that event will be listed in that events. The other place we do a lot of times is if Todd was sharing that event off of his page, we'll pin that to a thing called featured.
Yep.
And a lot of times we do new videos. We'll do the showcases there after they've run. If someone had a real good rail fan or they did a home layout tour or something, we'll pin those there. We also pin, and we haven't done it in a while because I've just been so busy with the podcast and with life, really. But we do this thing called Let's Talk Trains, and then we do Coffee and Trains. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to pull that off lately, but we're going to try to bring that back here soon,
Yeah,
especially in the summer months.
The coffee and trains, I was going to say, is something that we do a lot in the summertime.
Yeah.
Just
So,
Saturday morning. But yeah,
and all those
I
links
agree.
will be in that featured area. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it is when I understand it is hard because the rate, you and I have talked about this before. It wasn't that long ago where you and I would post something and it would stay visible for days
Right.
because there wasn't that much activity. But we got so many people posting such great content that I guess maybe one thing we can do, Pat, is just keep bumping. Like when we announce the rally, and just have somebody comment or like it or something just to bump it back up to the top, so
Right.
people do see it. But yeah, I guess that's a byproduct of growth especially
Right.
on Facebook. It does get difficult to keep track of everything, but yes.
Okay, Brad, I'm going to do one more quick one. And I'll let you do one more too. David
All right.
Chaplin. Brad, he's got these new camo CP powered locomotives and
Yes.
they look awesome. Is that Kato? They got
Yes.
the
Those
yellow
are.
ribbon on them and they got the camouflage paint.
Yes. If
Yeah.
it's the one I'm thinking of, I believe you're referring to the Kato SD70 ACU.
Yeah, let me see here. It's 6644. It's that gray, like battleship gray and green camouflage.
Yeah. Yeah. And they
Looks
made.
like it's got the three stripes on the back side and it's got the yellow ribbon on the front. And
Yeah.
he's got some pictures of that on his layout. It looks really sharp. David,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that one. That if you guys know me, that tugs a little bit. When anytime I see something in the military, I'm like, oh, I got to take a look at this.
Yep.
So, so
Yeah.
yeah, good job and great layout, David, and keep posting. I appreciate it. He's a rising contributor, so we like to see
Yes.
those guys come up.
Yes, thank you for that, David. That was cool. I'm working on one of those ACUs right now too. It's a Kato just brought out the first release of them, and they're very similar to my all-time favorite N-scale locomotives, which are the SD80 Max and SD90/43 Max. These are basically the prototype for that SD70 ACU. They're actually rebuilt. I believe they're rebuilt SD90 Max, SD90/43 Max. And I know I think they replace the prime mover in them. And they replace all the electronics. And it's got the cab from it, I believe, is the same cab that they have on the SD70 Ace, ACE as opposed to ACU. So it's kind of they're rebuilds, upgrading the electronics and stuff, but they run every bit as good as their SD80 Max and SD90 Max did. So great addition by Kato, and thanks very much to David for sharing that with us.
Okay, Brad,
So
you have one more for us?
I got one more. Yeah, our good
Okay.
friend Jimmy Brom, who is always keeping us abreast of the goings on at the East Broad Top down in Rock Hill, Fort Furnace, Orbisonia, PA, posted recently that they're going to be doing steam freight. I don't know if you call them excursions or photo trains or what, but that's something that excited me because I can remember many, many years ago going out there to take pictures of those. They hook up some of the old East Broad Top cars, whether they be box cars, coal hoppers, of course, they'll have a caboose on there. And they just tow it behind probably the number 16 steam engine, I would guess. And that's coming up on May 2nd and 3rd. And I believe that is in conjunction with the Friends of the East Broad Top reunion weekend. So if you're one of the Friends of the East Broad Top, you probably already know about this, but for others, there might be some pretty cool opportunities to take some pictures of that locomotive pulling a freight train, just like it used to back in the 50s. I can remember, Pat, we were talking offline. A lot of my friends would go and we would take pictures of those. And this was like way back in the 90s when doing stuff like this was much more difficult, but they would convert their pictures to grayscale. So they were like black and white, and it looked like you had taken a picture of the East Broad Top back in the early 50s before they shut the operation down. So thank you to Jimmy for sharing that with us. And it would not surprise me if Jimmy is not there for that event coming up May 2nd and 3rd on the East Broad Top. And hopefully, if he is able to attend that, he'll have lots of pictures and videos to share with us. So thank you, Jimmy, and look forward to you sharing some more information with us about the East Broad Top Railroad. And while we're talking about that, I just have to say kudos one more time to our Iron City member, Brad Esposito, for the fantastic job he and everybody in his entire team have done bringing that railroad back to life. So that's exciting times, and we're glad to see the EBT back running stronger really than it has been in I don't know how long. They've got trackage open again that uh, hasn't had trains running on it probably since like 1956. So hats off to everybody there, and thank you to Jimmy, our good friend Jimmy Brom, for sharing that video. And the advertisement for that steam freight that's going to be running. So that's mine for the Roundhouse Report, Pat.
Okay, Brad. Well, we won't hold anybody up. We're going to get into episode 8, Coast to Coast, with our friends from Iron City West, right after this. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We have a great show this evening. It's our privilege for the first time to bring on some folks from the West Coast on Iron City West. And I'm going to pass it over to Brad so he can introduce our guest this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. Got with us tonight, we have a guy who's been on here with us before from season 1. I believe he was on a Train Masters episode. But we have one of our good West Coast buddies, Bob Frein, here from Iron City West, and then making his first appearance with us tonight. We're looking forward to getting to know him and hearing a little bit about his activities in the great hobby of model railroading. We have also with us Frank Hinojosa. So welcome both of you guys from Iron City West, and it is really great to have you here. Thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, like we always do, we've got a set of questions here that have been stamped and approved by Brad this evening. And so we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Bob. He was a yard master in season 1. And Bob, we're glad to have you back. We've always been trying to make this connection to out west, to some great modelers out there. And we just know that the model scene's just a little different, especially distance wise, than the East Coast, where, we can have a lot of meets and get togethers. It seems like, except for the West Coast of California, if you start going into like Arizona, Utah, and those other places, to get to one show or the other, you're talking a day drive or a flight. So it's a lot different than the East Coast. So, Bob, I just want to remind our listeners a little bit about you. So Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the hobby.
Well, I got into the hobby when I was very young. My dad had his Lionel set around the Christmas tree. I later progressed to HO briefly. And in about 1980, I had a history teacher that showed me what N scale was. And I was in N scale. I've been in and out of stuff all the time. I got into G scale, which I still am in. I enjoy N scale. And then when I found T-Track in about 2016, that kind of hit the spot for me because I don't have a place to put a big layout. So I started making T-Track modules. And then in 2017, I created the SoCal T-Track Facebook group. And we did a couple events together, and then COVID hit, and that kind of killed the train shows in Southern California. So I'm still in N scale. I'm still in G scale. I recently acquired my father's Lionel set, so I'm kind of doing Lionel right now. But that's where I'm at in terms of model railroading.
Okay, and everybody, Bob wants to make sure that he tells us in the middle of winter that he can still run G scale. And he's out in his garden in February and March.
Around here, we would spend a week chipping ice and snow.
Wrong salt, huh?
Yeah.
I don't need to own a snowplow, so that's awesome.
Or walk around with the torch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, Frank, I'm going to pass over to you, and you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you hobby.
Okay. Well, actually, I really never had trains when I was younger. I admired trains. I grew up in East LA, so I grew up by Taylor Yard, the Southern Pacific, where they had the roundhouse, and by UP. I remember my grandfather taking us to downtown LA to go to cafeteria. And we would go to Union Station and we would look at the locomotives. So, I mean, I always had the admiration for them, but I was never had the opportunity to have model trains. So, my mother's a single mother, so she was the sole provider, and we didn't have much. So, but as an adult, I had an apartment manager in Orange County, and she was an older lady, 85 years old, and her husband had passed, and she offered me 21 banana boxes of Athern's Blue Box and some brass and a lot of other trains, and I just wept, So And I commenced to do my first HO layout, and there was some N scale in there, about maybe, about 40 pieces. And I built my HO, and I realized, you know what, I could get a lot more track with N scale. So,
Yeah.
and I had made this layout. It was like 3 foot, 36 by 8 feet, and I used it as my headboard. So I was kind of like Arthur, from the movie, and like my 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 wife now would come to my place and look at it and say, "Oh man."
Yeah.
So it was a great thing. It provided me an opportunity because I do IT for a living. I'm information technology, and it provided me something that's completely different from what I'm normally doing. Right.
Right.
So what transpired is, I ended up, me and my wife got married. Trains wasn't in the plan for a bit, and 4 years ago, I went to Belmont Shore Model Railroad Club, and I still had a few cars from a heavyweight set Santa Fe, and I tend to go that way, SP, Santa Fe, UP, and commenced to rebuild to build the collection, and I found that Belmont Shores, which is the innovators, thanks to our benefactor Jim Fitzgerald and Ben Davis, and they're the founders of the club, that we were able to, have the club, and it's at Fort MacArthur in San Pedro, and we have 854 feet of track.
Oh, wow.
And yes, so that's about maybe 20 to 21 scale miles, and so it's 2 stories. The first floor, we have a meeting hall, work room. We have a scenery room. We have a programming room that's also a dispatch room that we're implementing LCC, and also a library. And then on the second floor is a 30 feet by 90 feet of layout.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What are you doing with LCC, Frank? That's a topic that's of interest to me.
Well, so one of our members, he's one of the older members that we have. He actually wrote a book his name's Dana Zimmerly, and he wrote a book regarding LCC. I believe it's on the TCS website. And
I have that book.
yeah, so he's a member of my club, and he has implemented the nods. He has implemented the switching. He's working on various things on the layout, and so he's doing switching, time clock. He's implemented power as well, and so all of it's controlled by LCC, and they're progressing as they go along. It's been interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the hobby. I've been hoping that it would start to really take off, and we'd see more manufacturers get behind that and support it. Hopefully, with stuff like this continues and more people start using it, it'll start to blossom a little bit more. But it is pretty interesting to me the stuff that can be done with that. I haven't really jumped into it yet, but yeah, thank you for sharing it, and keep us abreast of that on the Iron City Facebook page, if you don't mind, because I think we probably have some other folks who are interested as well.
Most definitely. I'll ensure that they join and post on there as well. And yeah, it's great because you can actually automate and create logic to execute it. The same thing like you would use an Arduino to do DCC switching on a layout, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, maybe you could use LCC to automate those buildings from falling onto the track.
Yeah, I should maybe remotely lift it off and put it back where it belongs. You guys would have died if you'd seen it. I don't think it's getting up into the weeds, but I'm sitting there looking at my computer screen going, why would that stop? And then I turned the sound on from that remote camera, and I can hear the engine in knots 8 and it's not moving. For those who are wondering what we're talking about, I had a little incident of remote ops today that got goofed up a bit. I have my layout with cameras set up and I can access it remotely with my phone. And I was bored over lunch today, so I drove a train and it stopped dead in its tracks. Had no idea why till I got home and saw that I had left a big freight house building. I was working on this area of the layout, and to get that building out of the way while I was doing scenery, I set it right on the track.
Well, I hope you didn't burn a truck or something.
No, I shut it as soon as I couldn't get it to move. I shut everything down. I have it all controlled with smart plug, so I can power it down from work too. But I guess that serves me right. I should have been eating lunch instead of running trains. But but yeah, if I could use LCC to lift buildings off the track, that would be great.
You know what? I have a friend that I run at his place. He does strictly operations, and all his switches are essential. It's DCC, and he has a dispatcher. It's called CPRX, right? His name's Frank Kenny. I don't know if you guys have heard of him previously.
I've heard of CPRX.
Yeah. Frank is a member of the Iron City group.
Yeah. So and Frank is a good friend of mine. I usually go do auto there occasionally, and he has a wonderful layout, and the whole it's automated with DCC switching, so rather than LCC. So I mean, I think the only difference is with LCC, you can control your lighting in that aspect. Shut off, shut on. You can automate, day and night, and it allows you that ability. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now, like I mentioned, Belmont Shores, what happened is we had after COVID and everything, the club was known for having these great swap meets, and essentially, it's like, let's do a swap meet. I was a new member, and I'm like, let's do this, right? You always get a new member, and the new guy, usually the young guy, right, is always all gun ho, and the older guys were like, let's just walk over there, right? And so I ended up heading a swap meet / open house at Belmont Shores, and it was successful because it gave me the ability to communicate to all the Southern California train shows. And as we were discussing previously, train shows may be close, but I mean, driving through traffic may take you a couple hours.
Right.
Right. So that's the issue within, like Los Angeles and going to Tehachapi or Bakersfield or Barstow or, all these places where Ventura, Costa Mesa, and we only have like 3 shows. I mean, what did you say, Bob?
Yeah, so we get the Great Train Show, which you guys might know as Greenberg's or the World's Greatest Hobby. So they come through twice a year, usually within the month of February. One down in Costa Mesa, which would be Orange County, say near Disneyland, and the other one is in Ventura, which is north of LA. There's a show in Tehachapi every year, and then one in Bakersfield, and that's about it. But Tehachapi and Bakersfield are a couple hours north from me. For Frank, it would be probably another hour and a half. So it's the distance and lack of shows here is what's very difficult. And it seems like Oregon and Washington have a few more shows than what we get here, but we're just so spread out that, we're not like you guys. I mean, you guys will drive 3-4 hours to go to a train show. I could drive down to Frank and that'd be 3 hours, and that's only 55 miles away.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So Bob, if I can pass back to you before we get into the shows, we have a lot of East Coast folks. So I'm hoping you guys can tell us tonight, what's the trend right now in the hobby world out west? What's everybody modeling? Are they doing modern? Are they going back and doing the 70s and 80s? Are they doing 50s and 60s? What lines out west are big right now for the modeler? And on top of that, do you guys have a lot of short lines that people are modeling?
So out here, Santa Fe, Southern Pacific, Union Pacific, those are the big ones. You get some Burlington Northern, some of the Western ones, but BNSF is big. Some people like Amtrak. They do nothing but Amtrak. I'm a Santa Fe guy, and not BNSF, but Santa Fe.
Right.
But that's kind of the trend. I would say it's every era. Like I'm a transition era. There's a lot of guys that do the modern era stuff. Like I don't do any graffiti. I just despise graffiti on anything. But there's guys that they're buying up those graffiti box cars and, well cars and everything. So it runs the gamut. It just depends. I think the younger guys are more into the modern stuff because that's what they've seen on the rails. And for me, I like the transition era because I want to run some steam. I want to run some early diesels.
How about you, Frank? What are you seeing trend wise, or what are some lines that people are using?
Well, normally, like myself, I'm 53, so I'm the young one out of the group. But the guys I hang out with are like 62, 67, 78, and 85 or 87. I'm sorry.
That happens to me a lot.
And then they look at me like a teenager, like you go for this, go for that. I'm like, okay. But the great part about it is learning, and so like majority of the people around me, especially in the club, but I mean the older people, like pre-transition, like myself as well. I mean, I love brass, I love steam. I love Southern Pacific, Santa Fe, like Bob and UP. So I mean, I love brass and converting it to DCC. So I have an AC9 and some AC4s and AC5. So I mean, that's stuff I personally like. But I do see the younger members, and they do like the more modern, Gevos and AC44, and various other, SD70 Aces and M's, and they like that new stuff. So, I mean, it's all right. I mean, I have some of it as well. I mean, depending if I'm running an excursion train or I'm running like a circus train, like I would like to prototype the 2010 Ringling Brothers Circus, circus train, the longest train. So,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that all depends on what I'm running. But I mean, majority of the time, I like, steam era or like transition, like ball.
Right. Is there anything out west freight wise that is unique that we probably wouldn't see on the East Coast, or you think it's pretty much the same? You got the oil tankers, natural gas now. You got your cold hoppers. We have a little bit more grain, I guess, out here. But what do you guys see? Anything special to the West Coast that you might not see?
We don't see any trash trains.
That
Pat will give you a whole dissertation on what a trash train is.
I was gonna ask you about that, but I thought, nah, Bob will get that in there. Well done, Bob. Well done.
Are they gondolas? Are they high-sided gondolas? I mean, what do they look like?
Containers. The ones that Pat loves are usually trash containers.
Yeah, right when I'm trying to rail fan.
What's the odor like? I mean, that's what I wanted.
Yeah. It definitely will not make your day, Frank. And for some reason, Frank, it's an inside joke, but it's true. Every time I go out with these guys to rail fan, we hit a trash train. It's like unfortunate.
We were at the Station Inn in Crescent last summer, and I got there a couple days before Pat. And in the couple days I was there, I think just about half of the Norfolk Southern Heritage fleet went through. I don't even remember how many of them we saw. But then Pat got there, we didn't see any, but the trash train went through right away. So.
I don't know that we have a whole lot of anything that would be, different. I mean, we do have the oil tankers running through because they're running down to El Segundo, the refineries. We got a lot of traffic. I think it's technically a short line. I think it's the LA Railway, but they run from the Port of Los Angeles and Long Beach up to the big yards in LA. And then that's where BNSF and UP pick up the containers and go from there. But other than, maybe like a train that's laying rail or carrying, the long quarter-mile sticks of rail, I don't know that we have anything that's unique out here.
Right.
No, there isn't. I mean, essentially, I'm a casual longshoreman as well. So, and my favorite job working at the ports is is working on well cars. So just putting the lots on for when they're double stacking the containers. And so as Bob mentioned, there's a Pacific Harbor line, which essentially runs on the UP as well as BNSF track. So, and they're basically pulling wild cars and placing them, and kind of organizing the consists there within the yards. And all you see is well cars, auto racks, and some tanker cars, and that's pretty much it. And you'll see lumber as well. That's essentially what you'll see at the port of Los Angeles.
Now, with the merger coming, well, I guess not merger, it's more of a purchase. Did UP and the other folks out west, did they have a lot of heritage units like the NS did? CSX is now doing those paint schemes. Did you see a lot of heritage units, or is that something that's not big out west?
There is only one heritage unit that I have seen, and it's a BNSF, and it has all of the heralds of the railroads that they acquired.
Okay.
It's kind of sad that they didn't do any heritage units, but I did see that in LA Union Station when I was down there photographing 3751 in September, and I liked it enough that I actually bought my first BNSF paint job, and it is that one. I bought it from Broadway Limited, and it looks nice, but I think that BNSF could have done a much better job with heritage units like CSX and Norfolk Southern have done, and UP.
I'm just trying to imagine in the future, maybe you guys are out rail fanning one day, and here comes a Pennsylvania or a Lehigh Valley or or a Conrail or something in the future. You might see that,
Well, occasionally there might be. You might see an NS down over here, or you might see a Ferromex, but that's about it.
Yeah.
My guess on that is if and when UP does take over, there will be a heritage fleet of Armor Yellow locomotives. That'll be their heritage fleet.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll give them a chance.
So, Frank, to get back to your conversation, let's talk about your show that you have coming up, and tell us all the details, the time, the place, what you try to get, what's the goal of the show. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the show.
So first of all, it's called Southern California N-Scale, and it's essentially it's a meet and a train show, as well as a fundraiser. So the train show is essentially to bring together the N-Scale community, due to the fact that many of the train shows are G-Scale, HO, and various, like O-Scale. So there's a combination of other scales, but very little N-Scale. And so I wanted to create something for the N-Scale community where it's solely our scale and contains various different vendors and layouts from various different clubs. And so we can unify at least once annually, collaborate, have a swap, possibly some clinics, and at the same time help a group of children from a church. So, and all the benefits, all the monies go to the children's group. So it's
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So last year was Frank's first year putting this on, and it was a monster effort, and he did a great job. There was a great swap meet. There was some T-track. There was a couple N-track. There was a Fremo N, and a couple little smaller layouts, and great raffle prizes. And then this year, it looks to be even better with clinics, which I'm excited about. I'm excited to see some of these clinics. I think we got one on 3D printing, correct, Frank? And then one on like detailing or super detailing locomotives.
Yeah. Actually, so the website is SoCalNscale.com. So, and we have corporate sponsors as well. Our sponsors are Broadway Limited Imports, Scale Trains, Bachman, Bluford. We have Finance Scale Products, Santa Clarita Railroad, LaBelle, Arnie's Trains. So we have a good mixture of corporate, manufacturer sponsors, and as well as I'm communicating with Micro Trains as well. They were our previous sponsor, and I contacted Atlas as well. So I mean, and Athens and Lombard Hobbies and very Intermountain. So I've been working on growing this. So I mean, not for just the end scalers, but for the children that are benefiting from this fundraiser. So it's a pretty great thing. I mean, but but as Bob had mentioned, I mean, on the website, you can look up on our sponsors, and you could also go to the gallery, and it has a video, and it shows you, like all the clubs that are there, you know, participating, as well as the participants and what it looks like. I mean, last year, I believe I had maybe about 14 vendors. This year, I'm looking to have about 22. We've incorporated the clinics, as Bob had mentioned. Uh, Fine Detailing is by Jesse Munoz. You can find him on Facebook and then on the N Scale groups. I mean, he's putting doors on the front of SD70s, and leaving them open, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
and putting the windshield wipers and visors on the side of the cabs, and he's doing a great job. We have Ernest Trains is going to be doing a 3D printing clinic, and he actually did a double-headed turbine, UP number 50, and it actually sits on a Concorde chassis. He has it on eBay that he sells, and I actually have one, and I first seen it from a friend, Thomas Ernie, and Thomas Ernie does a lot of custom builds, I mean, in N scale, and I'm like, I need to have one of them, so I asked Eric if he could actually print one, and he did a great job, and it's pretty much done now. And we've incorporated NMRA and various other clubs as well.
Oh, excellent. Frank, give me the date and time for the event.
Great. Okay. It's May 30th, 2026, and it's from 9 to 5. It's free entry. I don't charge for the entry. Essentially, the spots are rented out to the vendors. There is donation buckets on the tables of the vendors, so people can give donations to the church. There is various raffles. I mean, all my sponsors provide me raffle prizes, so all the proceeds will go to the church, their groups, the children groups, and there's a kitchen, full kitchen. Usually they provide some pretty good food, and those are actually the children groups selling all the concessions. So,
excellent.
Yeah, and we also had the Lomita Railroad Museum there showing some of their artifacts as well.
And the grand prize last year in the raffle, wasn't it that Bachmann AC?
Yeah, SE44 Charger.
With sound and lights at DCC. It was fantastic prize. I mean, but there was all sorts of great prizes. It was a fun day. A nice thing is it's a one-day show. The proceeds all go towards the children at the church, so it's kind of a double whammy there. You can, come have fun watching trains and also help out a church.
That's awesome.
And do you guys see that the in-scale community's pretty close out west in the LA area, or is it? Are you getting people from, greater California to come down to the show?
I had people, the first show, I had people from Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Some of them from Northern California that came. Actually, this year I'm having more people. So because word of mouth, and, you go to a small swap meet and then they don't have much. I mean, word of mouth gets around, right? And so everybody liked the experience and the setup, so they really enjoyed it. And I mean, there was a lot of discussion. Even, I don't know if you heard of Bob Shapiro. He does the train show bulletin over here in California on train shows, and he gave me a great review.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah,
great.
Well, for the East Coasters, this is kind of like the Altoona N scale, but on a much smaller scale, as Frank's just getting this started year number 2. But that's kind of the goal, is to get to that point, make it a big N scale show and attract people from all over. And so far, so good. He's been doing a great job of marketing it. And thanks to you guys, get it out across the country through the podcast. And we appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great. We're always glad to see stuff like this, expanding the hobby, helping people connect. So yes, absolutely. Best wishes to you as you guys continue to get that thing off the ground, and I hope it continues to grow. That's an awesome thing. You always like to hear about new shows. So anytime we can hear about it, that's awesome.
Yeah, it seems like the N-scale community, because we go to these other shows and there's kind of a lack of inventory and everything. When you hear of an N-scale event, it becomes an event instead of a show. It becomes more of a destination. You have people travel a little bit further. Altoona now is becoming a hub. I mean, you're getting people from North Carolina, you're getting people from South Carolina and Connecticut,
Canada.
So I'm hoping the same for you guys, that you'll get people from Arizona in the future, and
we would love to see you guys come in sometime for the N-scale weekend too. It's definitely worth seeing. You're not going to see any show that has a much better variety of N-scale equipment than what you can see there.
Well, can I see a trash train?
If you hang out at the station with Pat, you can almost guarantee that you're going to see one.
I don't want to smell one.
We were set up in the science center, the Common Science Center, for our locomotion weekend
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, like 5 minutes after Pat shows up, we looked over on the south side, and there it was, a trash can. It's uncanny, I'm telling you.
Was that when he showed up with coffee and just watched everybody? Was that?
You're going to have to be more specific. That's pretty much every show.
Is one passing by now?
No. One last question for tonight for you guys about the show. Do you guys find yourself amazed, like someone will walk in and say, well, here's a picture of my, empire, N-scale empire. And you're like, where's this guy been? Brad and I have these conversations daily now with our page, because there'll just be someone we never heard of, and they just show a picture of this, a garage or an outbuilding or a basement just full of N-scale trains and beautiful layout. And it's funny how it's still the hobby's still a mystery to a lot of us, knowing people and understanding their layouts. A lot of people like to have that private layout and just have it for themselves. Are you guys seeing people come to the show and you're like meeting people for the first time that are very involved in model railroading?
Well, I will say that in my daily conversations, sometimes I'm surprised at some of the people that I meet that I had no idea they were a model railroader. And it's there's a lot of lone wolf people out there, right? I think all of us have been like that, right? I mean, and so there's people that are just kind of hanging out by themselves doing their own thing. But once you meet them and then they start inviting you to come to their layout or, talk about trains, it's an interesting group. And I enjoy it. I became a member of the NMRA a couple years ago, and the LA division is a very large division geographically. But one of the guys in the division started these little subgroups, and we've got a couple of them around town here, and they get together, like once a month, and they'll meet at somebody's house or somebody's layout or a restaurant, and they just, they talk trains. And these are people I had no idea. And there's some that live not too far from me. So it's kind of nice to start getting to see people. But for some reason, model railroading is kind of like pushed down. Nobody wants to talk about it,
Right. I just know with, Frank starting something new, it kind of gives you a gathering place for maybe new people that you haven't been able to meet yet. So, and with your displays and everything, you get a club, you're like, where'd these guys come from?
That's the great thing about Belmont Shores is and like Jesse Munoz has done. He's our PR person, and he does great with marketing because he communicates with the news channels and gets us, some quick, exposure to the public, where we get these storms of new people that say, hey, I'm an N-scale modeler and I want to be a member and I want to learn. And so we have not just, like teenagers or like someone in their 20s, but I mean, I'm talking about kids that are 8 years old, 10 years old, and they'll stay downstairs and they'll run because our end track also runs DCC. So I mean, DC and DCC. So they'll run DC engines, because they're more cost effective.
Right.
And our membership is only $10 a month. So they're like, okay, I can afford $10, and they'll go, to Belmont Shores and become a member, and so we get these children and we get these people that don't have experience, and in fact, I'm mentoring a couple right now that I just gave my 2-door layout to that's I acquired from a friend that worked on it for 12 years. And I'm like,
Well, that's
here.
awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I gave it to them for free, and it's a
Yeah.
great thing. And their eyes glow and they're all excited. And I'm like, I'll come by and I'll help you put it all together, and we'll connect the NCE power cab to it, and you'll be able to control it. And just
Was that? Hold on, Frank. Was that an NCE power cab?
yep.
See, I don't even have to do my usual stuff. My buddy Bob's got it.
No, because I mean, for myself, my preference is NCE rather than Digitrax. NCE's voltage is higher and ampage is higher, especially when you're using lock sound or tsunamis, or like Paragon 3s or 4s. And I find that a lot of people have issues with, because you needed that added boost. And with Digitrax, you require a power booster because you don't even have enough voltage to utilize JMRI to program your locomotive. So when I'm doing my conversions to DCC, and you could take a look at them, my Facebook's, and I'm always posting on the groups. It's Frankie Eno, Hino, and my conversions. I mean, it's so much simplistic. I mean, to utilize an NCE rather than a Digitrax for myself. And
Are you getting all this?
Well, I just think I've got a new nickname for Frank. It's West Coast Brad. Is what these are called. These are two guys that like NCE. I can tell you that.
Well, you know what? I mean, I do. Like I mentioned, I'm a system administrator, so I maintain 14 sites for a business, and I like 120 users, and whatever more simplistic and cost effective, and not just that, but doesn't require much effort.
Yeah.
Is always best for not just myself, but for other people to utilize. And so when I tell the new person and they're asking what system should I buy, I always say NC.
Yeah.
Our good friend Andy Zimmerman, who's the chairperson of the Standards and Conformances division of the NMRA, he and I have a saying: NCE, it just works. If you like to run your trains rather than fiddle around solving problems, it's the way to go.
Yep, agree.
And in fact, I need to email them for giving them a plug, and I need a new donor.
Yeah.
Get in line. Brad's already waiting for that.
Well, I've already gotten shirts and hats and stickers and everything else.
But nothing's for me. It's for the children.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's what I do too.
I'm not making money. I'm spending money, and I don't get to enjoy it by running on my layout.
You betcha.
Well, guys, hey, we want to thank you guys, Frank and Bob from Iron City West. I know we are making up new divisions every day, and if we just keep saying it, I guess it will stick, right? And we have Bob's module here on the East Coast, and it's been in a bunch of shows already. So the Iron City West is definitely being promoted, and we want to make sure we continue to do this outreach to the West Coast because you guys deserve it. You guys are on our page all the time and participating. That's the great thing about our Facebook page, because you can be anywhere in the world and be an Iron City member, and it's just great. And we all have one thing in common: we love good friendship, and we like to have a good time with model railroading. So, guys, once again, thank you so much, Frank and Bob. And I'll pass it over to Brad to say some final comments.
Yeah, thank you, Pat, and thank you guys. It was really great talking to you tonight, and just keep up the good work with representing our Iron City group out there on the West Coast. And if there's anything we can do to help you guys promote any of the stuff you're doing, I mean, I think we're developing a bit of a reach out that way. We started off, most of our guys were East Coast, Pennsylvania area, but anything we can do, anytime you have something coming up that you want to come on here and talk about, to promote it, and whatever else. Just, I think it's awesome that we're coast to coast with the Iron City group now, and we will definitely have to have you guys back on. The listeners won't get to hear this, but we had a major discussion going on even before we started recording that I had to kind of ruin. But I have to go to work with a bunch of teenagers tomorrow. I can't afford to be tired, but I'm sure there's no doubt with just how this went that we could have another great episode with
Absolutely.
you guys too. Just
and we'll try and do some live Facebook feeds from the show, because I don't really plan on running, but I plan on doing a lot of videos for this, and just doing a lot more of the photos and stuff. So we'll definitely hook up and get connected up for that.
Yeah. Just some plugs if you can, for SoCalNscale.com. Anyone can visit. Remember, it's free, and not to mention, it gives us an opportunity to help the children's groups.
And that was, just so we're sure, that was SoCalNscale.com, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And if you want to Facebook message that link to Pat, you can put it in the comments when we publish this podcast, right?
Yeah, we'll have that for you. And then once you guys have your flyer up, you guys can post at will on the Iron City Facebook page.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, guys.
All right, everybody. We'll be right back after this. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Brad, it was great to talk to Bob and Frank and really get a great understanding of what's going on out west and their show that's coming up. And really appreciate them coming on this evening. It was a very good show, very, very entertaining. Of course, they got their digs in on me. A little trash train talk never hurts anybody. It hurts me personally, but it's all right.
Amazing how that has spread. There was just somebody this week that got a little poke in about that too. You mentioned that he had seen one of the heritage units, and somebody posted, "Well, it must have been pulling a trash train."
But it's all good fun until you actually have to go out and rail fan it. So
you actually have to smell one.
Right.
Yeah.
But once again, thanks those guys for coming on, and we really appreciate it. And we hope to start hearing from more people out west. It's great model railroading out there. There's some talented people that I don't even know. I know Frank threw out a bunch of names, and I'm like, I gotta write these names down because I don't know who they are yet, but I'm hoping. And Frank says more people are joining our page, and we're hoping for, one day we're hoping that we look up one morning and Iron City West has got their own show out there. So we're really hoping that happens soon.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting to talk to these guys. I had a blast doing it, and they're both really well spoken. Of course, we knew Bob was because he's been on with us several times before, but the same thing can be said of Frank. He did a great job articulating some of the very interesting stuff that he is involved with out there on the West Coast. And it was just a pleasure to talk to both of those guys. So I will echo what Pat said. Frank and Bob, thank you so much for being on here with us, and feel free to keep promoting the event you guys have coming up on the Iron City page. You guys are Iron City members just as much as we are. So if you have events coming up that that you want to try to get the word out about, feel free. And we're looking forward to hearing, maybe we could even do a follow-up, Pat, with a follow-up episode with those guys after the show's in the books, and just check in with them to see how it went. But I'm looking forward to seeing what becomes of that, because I think I can see a lot of our original, steps in these guys,
Yeah, absolutely.
They're taking those early steps like we did, except I think they have a much better idea of what they're doing, Pat, than what we did.
They actually belong to another club. That kind of helps.
Yeah. He followed the fortune favors the foolish methodology and started everything, and basically pretty much lucked out to get some of the guys that we talked. I mean, we talked about Kevin in the opening, but that original crew we got, those guys are just, we owe a lot of credit to them. Tom Catalano, Mike DeCenzi, Jim Hoffer, Richard Shirey, George Hall, Steve McCune, who was, of course, kind enough to allow us to hijack his page for a few months before we started our own. I know I'm going to forget somebody, and I hate that, but Doug Rakowski, who came along a little bit later, but has been a very integral part of, and we do have to also, wow, this just popped into my head, but another good friend to Iron City right from the very beginning has been Esther's Hobbies, right? I mean, they've been so good to us. Anything we've needed, through Doug and through Bob and Bob Sr., who's no longer with us, they have always, anything an Iron City wanted or needed, if we were close by to Esther's, we could always get it there. So just want to give a big shout out to them and to the original members of Iron City, but also transition into, what Bob and Frank are starting to do out there on the West Coast, and anything we can do to help those guys out and promote it and grow Iron City West Coast into something really cool, which it already is. But as we found out over the past 5 or 6 years, Pat, it can always grow into something bigger and better, can't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Brad, I guess, we're coming up on a year, so we want to tell everybody it's in light pencil, but we're trying to gather everybody we can for the 1-year anniversary show that's going to be coming up probably in mid-May. This one's like herding cats. I gotta, people work on certain nights, have meetings on certain nights.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle of the outdoor sports season, so that means old Pat's out there at the ballpark. And Brad's doing his thing at the end of the year for school. So we're going to try to put a nice 1st-year anniversary event together for everybody.
That speaks to what I was just talking about us not knowing what we're doing. This is probably starting a podcast in early May, like we did, probably looking back. It's a hectic time of the year for both of us, but I'm sure we'll come up with something. The thing we envision, I think, for it, Pat, and if you disagree, correct me if I'm wrong, but if everybody remembers the holiday special that we had, where we just kind of threw it around to a bunch of the different excellent guests that we've had and been fortunate enough to talk to, I think it's probably, don't you think, going to be something similar in format anyway to that? But instead of in celebration of a holiday, it's in celebration of our 1-year anniversary, which is coming up. I can't remember if it was May 8th or May 9th where we published our first episode last year, but we'll get the details of that worked out. But yeah, that's an important announcement. We've had 2 pretty cool milestones here. We've recently passed the 10,000 download milestone, which I thought was pretty awesome. And now, roughly a month after that, we're going to be celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So thanks again to all of you guys who, your support is what has kept this going. If nobody would have given a crap about any of this, we would have probably stopped a long time ago. But the response that we've gotten from the community at Iron City and other places has just meant the world to us, and has provided great motivation to keep doing what we needed to do to continue this, and also to work out some of those bugs that we had, Pat, back in those early days with sound balance issues and other things. So just from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to everybody for making that possible.
Okay, Brad, if they want to talk to us, or if they want to see all these great layouts, the Iron City showcases, the clinics, they need to come to our page, Iron City in-scale page. It's on
On
Facebook.
Facebook, yep.
Yep. And we now have Iron City Roundhouse Report on YouTube. So 2 ways to see videos. Once the videos are off, only 30 days on Facebook, they come to our YouTube page. So come on over to our YouTube page and take a look. And if you want to talk to us, you can post right on the page. You can also send us a DM, or you can just tag us in your post on the Iron City page. We do ask you, please answer the questions when you're trying to join. It just helps us keep our page clean and allows us to keep the scammers off the page. If you want to listen to us, Brad, they can download us anywhere, but we're on Apple, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we are on Boomplay, and we are on all kinds of different ones, Brad.
Yeah.
Because I am remote tonight and I don't have my script in front of me, but we're on all of them.
We're on Podbean, I know.
Podbean?
What is that? But we're on all of them.
We're on all of them. Come on in, turn them on. We're there. We also want you guys to know that we appreciate you guys listening to us, and we want your feedback. So if you have something you want to hear on the show, you guys are the producers and the directors. You guys send us the information, and we will try to hunt it down and talk about it. If you want to be on the show, let Brad and I know. We're happy to put anybody on. Brad and I have a voice for newspaper and a face for radio. So don't be afraid to come on. We're not experts. We're not professionals. We play one on TV. That's all we do. We want you guys to come on and be a part of our show. We really like Iron City members to be on there. And with that, Brad, I'll pass over to you for the final thought.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Final thought is just another big thanks to Frank and Bob. Thank you for introducing us to some of the goings on out there on the West Coast, and just best wishes to those guys as they're, trying to get participation up and trying to develop something on the West Coast. And really, it would be cool if those guys could come in and join us for an event in here. I know Bob in particular said that he would like to make the Altoona show sometime. He did. He was kind enough to provide some beer for us at last year's, so that was nice. And then, Pat, maybe someday we can even venture out west to go to one of their shows or something. But
thank you. Across the Mississippi?
Yes, sir. Across the Mississippi. Yeah, across the Mississippi, the Continental Divide, the Rocky Mountains, all that. Yeah, you bet. But yeah, thanks once again to those two guys, Bob and Frank, for joining us. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for episode 8, season 2 of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. All right, rail fans, that's all the steam we've got for this edition of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. Until next time, keep those gauges green, your couplers connected, and may your layouts always run smoothly. Happy railroading.